Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at They Who Wander, aka The Wanderer, who is a brand new character going to be coming to the game as an advanced token wheel character. Now visually we've had Wanderers in the game before and he is a big favourite within the scene. I know some people love the character straight up just from his original character. He has had some nice looks through the ages, and this is, in my opinion, a top 2 visual. I think he looks absolutely amazing here. On the right hand side you can see he's got like spray cans across his chest, he's got a bit of paint everywhere because he's been tagging up the city apparently, and on the left you can see the art looks really cool. I love the visuals here. There's something about just a gas mask straight up, I guess it's like a paint mask, but there's something about a mask that just looks really cool. You can see there's a walker there with a dagger in it. And I believe there was a dagger in the past that was like the Wanderer's dagger, but we could potentially see like a weapon coming to the game that is that dagger. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But the visuals do look really nice. If we look at the stats, at level 1440 limit break 3, he has got 35,110 attack, 21,943 defense, and 30,722 HP. He is an alert character holding that pistol on the right hand side. He's going to be of the control role, Gold Mythic of course, and he's going to be joining the Lone Wolves Allegiance. Now the first thing we're going to check out is the Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Elusive Assault. It is a 55 AP cost rush, so pretty fast for an attack team character. This fighter gets elusive for the rest of combat, attacking enemy for 250% damage, plus 1 attack per each Lone Wolves Allegiance teammate, prioritizing new targets. So it can potentially hit 5 enemies. I think actually maybe even 6 if you have a full team of Lone Wolves. It should always do 2 attacks because it would be 1 attack for the rush plus 1 attack because Wanderer himself is a Lone Wolf. Then plus 1 for Philip Blake, then plus 1 for Michonne, and then plus 1 for future characters that are going to be coming out. The elusive comes in first, so the characters that he hits will not be able to gain AP from the actual attack. Plus, because of his specialist skill, their weapons won't be able to proc to control him on this, and he can potentially proc that specialist skill against the entire team if he does obviously fire 5 attacks. It does prioritize new targets like it says, so we'll check this out. I think currently the way we can do it is hit 4 targets because we will use Philip Blake and Michonne in the team just to show you that. Okay, so here we are. We have got the Adrenaline Rush up of They Who Wander. I'm probably going to refer to him as the Wanderer just because, you know. I'm going to just select any character. It doesn't matter too much. I have got him with a crit-based weapon, so he's going to crit more often. And we're going to see if he does just randomly attack other enemies that haven't been attacked before. Like I said, it should be 4 because we have 3 Lone Wolves plus the 1 initial attack. So we'll do the Adrenaline Rush. And you can see he's going to attack 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you would need 1 more Lone Wolf to be able to attack the entire team and potentially disarm everybody. But if you look at the other effects on the enemies, there is some extras that it looks like that the Wanderer here is going to add while he's doing those hits as well. Now those will almost definitely be on the Wanderer's passives, so we'll check those out in a little bit, but we'll look at the upgrades here on the Adrenaline Rush, and you can see at grade 3 it gets plus 100% damage. So initially it is 150% damage and it gets boosted up to 250% damage. This is, you know, pretty nice. Obviously I wouldn't necessarily see him as a priority damage dealer, but there are some nice weapons that even have effects on them where he could be controlling them as well. That's worth noting. So you'd be doing a bit of damage, maybe a control, specialist control, maybe something in his passives that we saw as well. This could be actually pretty good. At grade 5, the AP cost gets reduced from 66 down to 55. This is interesting. It does mean that he doesn't have to do his signature move turn 1 with a Laura. He can get the rush with the Laura without using the signature move if you didn't want to use it turn 1 for whatever reason. It also means that you don't necessarily have to have AP on attack on his weapon. You could use the signature move turn 1 and then a Laura would get the Adrenaline Rush, or even a basic attack the next turn would get the Adrenaline Rush for turn 3. So you could go for attack and crit on a weapon if you have something like that. The new weapon that's in the League store could be good, which has got deep cuts, which would also work, proccing at the beginning of each turn. It does look like he is adding hemorrhage to the attack anyway, so yeah, maybe not, but obviously that's up to you. The last one is Limit Break 2 upgrade. It's +1 attack for each Lone Wolf's Allegiance teammate, prioritizing new targets. We saw how this worked, and it worked nicely. It did attack completely new targets each time. It didn't go like back and forth between two targets. It did 4 separate targets, and this is ideal, especially with his specialist skill, especially with the potential with the weapons he can hold in his hand. Big thumbs up from that one, and very nice potential when it comes to getting him to just get lots of disarm off early on in the fight, because if you command rush him with Allura off of turn 1 and you've got 4 Lone Wolves, he will 100% hit the entire enemy team, plus any follow-up damage is not going to have any potential to get blocked by absolute defense and so on and so forth. So characters like Michonne, who is susceptible to that, looks like they're going to work very well together. This Adrenaline Rush is nice for sure, but it gets amplified quite amazingly by the weapon, and it can be control, it could be extra damage, it could be damage amplification, time over time, so on and so forth. There's going to be some interesting combos to see, but the rush itself is nice. And like I said, the elusive does come in first, so there's not going to be any risk of AP getting added onto these characters, so again, it could be nice. Now moving on to the signature move, and we can see if we want to actually do this or we want to do a basic attack with Laura. I'm assuming we'd probably want to do this. It's called Target Erosion. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. An enemy gets minus 50% defense for 2 turns. One other enemy gets minus 30% defense for 2 turns. Make a critical attack against a line of enemies for 300% damage each. This is nice, just all in all, defense down, plus potentially disarm as well because of the specialist skill, plus damage, plus potential guaranteed crits on the weapon procs, because there's some weapons that require criticals to actually occur, and he can't be blocked by weapons in terms of, you know, absolute defense, stun on defense, that sort of thing. He can be blocked by 4 slots. That's just worth noting. And I think he can also be blocked by characters that are support characters, can block weapon procs, just to be aware of that potential. But this is a very nice signature move. He's very support based, but he's got the control role, so these have an added chance to apply when they proc. So instead of an enemy having like 70% resist against something, they'd have 30% resist against something. That's quite important, but not many teams are going to use disarm resist or defense down resist, but there can be certain characters that have it in their passive, and he's going to have a slight bypass on that. And again, because the target of the initial hit is going to be the character that gets the minus 50% defense, they're also going to be the target that gets the disarm potentially and the weapon proc potentially, and then that's just more chance of them getting absolutely destroyed by someone like Michonne, just in terms of no weapon proc potential from them, plus easy damage on the enemy from Michonne with defense down. Very nice indeed. So we can start the fight again, and if we just attack the top line, we'll do a crit hit against both the targets, and we obviously do hit the disarm on both, but we also hit the minus 50 defense on the first initial target, which is Angel here. This means any follow-up damage is going to be amplified very nicely. If you've got someone like Michonne, you can just follow that up. Know there's going to be no risk of any weapon procs, and it's going to be severe damage. Of course, with Philip Blake as the leader, that's a decap as well. So the synergy potential here with Lone Wolves already, with just 3 characters, looks pretty nice indeed. And then obviously you can start rushing with Michonne. You could even get the command in with this character here. If you wanted to go to the other side of the team, you could just start doing his attack to get everybody disarmed. I really like the potential with just these 3 characters, so it's going to be interesting to see which other characters get added and their skills that are going to be on them. Now we'll jump straight into the upgrades on the signature move, and we know what's going to come. There's going to be a Limit Break 3 upgrade, but it's not a starting cooldown, which is nice. At grade 2, we're going to get an upgrade where one other enemy gets minus 30% defense for 2 turns. In that one, it went to someone down the bottom. I just see this as like an addition, like a little bit of a bonus. This isn't that big, it's just nice. If it lands on someone in the same line, that can be good for someone like Michonne, who can obviously do line damage with her rush. If you want to do her rush straight away, there's some nice potential on that 30% down. and these characters are rolling around with like 100k defense, so anything get negated from that is very nice. We're going to get the -1 to starting cooldown at grade 4, which is a rarity, so it'll go from a 2-turn starting cooldown down to a 1-turn starting cooldown. This is nice. First turn is very important. I would see the Wanderer as more of a support character, so you could potentially pick him up at lower grades and get high potential out of him, but it is worth noting it's LB2 on his Adrenaline Rush to get the extra hits based on lone wolves because of you know, actually getting that on the rush, and that seems to be quite a big highlight. Now at Limit Break 1, it's an additional -20% defense to the target, and initially it's going to be -30% up to -50%. This is big. Like I said, you fully control that defense down, and you saw what I did. I just signature moved Angel. I knew it was going to crit the line. Defense down was going to land on Angel, and I just nuked her with Michonne. That seems to be the most obvious combo with these two characters on lone wolves. Then at LB3, the upgrade comes in where it attacks a line of enemies. Again, this isn't that important. It is very nice to have more characters in, you know, disarmed, but it isn't as important as the rest of it. So I do see this character as being released as more of an entry-level character where a free-to-play could get a grade 5 and have a pretty solid character. If they wanted to push up to LB2, it would obviously be better with the Adrenaline Rush and a bit more defense down. But obviously if you wanted the best out of this character, LB3 would be the way to go. So I see this as a pretty decent character if you've got limited pools, and if you want to try and see if you get lucky, the character will still be useful by the looks of things. So yeah, I like that, especially for an attack team character. They've done that with Akira, they did that with Laura, another supportish style character. Thumbs up, I like that. So the signature move, like I say, very nice. It's going to help you nuke with your damage dealers. I think support characters are generally underrated by a lot of players, but this one's big. Disarm alone is nice, but the defense down coming in as well, very big, and potentially other damage modifications going to come in maybe for other game modes. We'll have to wait and see there, but that's going to be in the passives, which we're going to check out next. But before we do that, of course, we are going to be giving away some advanced tokens, because They Who Wander is an advanced token wheel character. If you want your chance to win these tokens, all you have to do, type in the comments down below the words spray paint, because the Wanderer is spray painting. He's the spray paint Wanderer, and I do think, like, visually he does look great. Use it as part of a sentence so YouTube does not spam your comments. If you enter, make sure you have your notifications turned on, because I will reply to the winning message and you will have to message me on Discord to claim your reward. Best of luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now, checking out the Wanderer's mythic abilities, these are his passive skills. He has got precision, and of course that is enemy resistances are 40% lower against this fighter. I was talking about him being more of a support character, but support is a role as well, of course, but he doesn't get the support role, and precision is much better for him, 100%. The next one is something extra, and we've seen this proccing. When attacking, deal 10% of this fighter's attack stat as hemorrhage damage. It's worth noting that this is going to proc no matter what when he attacks, and has an extra 40% chance to proc against resistances. So if someone has a Paragon Bleeder resist, they will now have 50% chance to resist it rather than 90. It'll also work in Faction Assault if you do want to take him up against Faction Assault bosses. For instance, the Governor as the last boss, obviously where you can take anyone, he could work against that and be pretty nice indeed. Now the next passive is pretty basic, and it's critical boost plus 60% crit damage multiplier. I don't see this as being a big deal unless you want to scope this guy out for massive damage potential, and it's not like it's impossible to do that. There is a weapon that I believe is in the bit store, which is like pretty good for amplifying the target's damage plus adjacent, but also you could put that in Philip Blake's hand. So I think this team should get significant damage boost with 1535s and stuff, so it's not like he won't do much damage. And obviously because he can be used in a team with Philip Blake or someone like Maggie, you can of course have no issues with the amount of damage output that he has with the characters that have you know, Payback and Bide and so on and so forth. So there's no issues there. Now the last passive is called Outflanked. When attacking, there's a 60% chance to daze the target for 2 turns. This is massive, and it suddenly makes that first turn command rush with Laura really, really good, because obviously dazing an enemy off of turn 1 on a defense team is a big deal, because they have really powerful signature moves. They will be protected a lot of the time by resists, and characters out there like Clementine does give everyone 50% resist, but he'll reduce it by 40% with his precision passive. So really nice kit here for a support character, lots of control. I think this guy's going to become quite a staple of a lot of people's teams when it comes to the control character. Like at the moment, personally, I'm still using Trader as that support character that just does a lot of control, but Wanderer definitely could find himself moving into some teams. But yeah, really big thumbs up on the passives when it comes to the effect side of things. So just to see it all in action, what we can do is we can decide which line we want to do the initial attack against, and then I can command him turn 1. We'll just do that with Laura, and then I can just select some of the other characters. You should probably select a character like Maggie first if there's a character that cleanses teammates, just so that you can reapply. Like you can see she just cleansed Angel. Oh, actually, she didn't. I killed her. Never mind. That's because of the 50% defense down. We didn't hit this character, so I do think it's going to be a 4 Lone Wolves team that is going to be needed, and Laura is potentially a really good team up with this by the looks of things. But yeah, very nice indeed, and you can see there's hemorrhage everywhere. We've applied hemorrhage twice to this character because we hit them twice, so that seems to be the way it can occur. And if I just defend action on these other characters, we can see that the hemorrhage should go up by 5.8k at the beginning of the next turn. So all these ones should double on Maggie and Molly, and then the top right hand corner on Nor should go up to like 17,000 or something like that. So on Nor it has gone up to, let's see, where's it gone? 23,000. Oh, both of them are actually doubling. That's interesting. So that's pretty big, honestly. That's pretty big. You can get quite a nice little bit of damage off early on in the fight. This means that if you are coming up against teams that are a bit of a struggle to beat, you can kind of just hit auto and blitz through them. So potentially the Wanderer can just fit into one of those auto style teams. And like I said, dazed on a couple of characters. There's no decap resistance. There's no halo on Nor. Again, very nice indeed. So jumping straight into the passive upgrades on Wanderer, you can see at grade 1 he gets the first half of something extra. When attacking, deal 5% of this fighter's attack stat as hemorrhage damage. At grade 2 he gets the first half of precision. Enemy resistances are 20% lower against this fighter. At grade 3 he's going to get the second half of something extra, where he deals a further 5% hemorrhage damage when attacking, making it 10% hemorrhage total of his attack stat. And that seems to double with each separate attack. As you saw, I procced it twice on Nor, and both of those doubled. So yeah, very, very handy. And then at grade 4, he's going to get the first half of critical boost, plus 20% crit damage multiplier. And then at grade 5, he's going to get outflanked part 1. When attacking, a 20% chance to daze the target for 2 turns. If we check out the second upgrades in the limit breaks, you can see precision 2 is going to come in, where enemy resistances are 20% lower against this fighter, and it's going to be 40% total. This is massive for Wanderer because he's got a lot of effects. He's got defense down, he's got disarm, he's got hemorrhage, he's got daze, he's got potential weapon procs if you put the right weapon on him. This is going to be very nice indeed. And then at limit break 2 he gets critical boost 2, 40% crit damage multiplier is going to come, making it 60% total. And then in limit break 3 he gets outflanked 2 when attacking, 40% chance to daze the target for 2 turns, stacking up to 60% chance total, which is very nice as a bonus. Daze is massive, and he can potentially, like I said, hit how many characters off of turn 1? He could hit the line, so that's 1, 2. He could then have a full team of Lone Wolves, let's say 4 characters, because he'd still have to be command rushed by Laura. So he could then hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more hits. So he could hit 7 hits, 7 attacks off of turn 1. And that's 7 proc potentials of daze, 7 procs of hemorrhage. Very nice indeed. Get the ball rolling on the damage. No signature moves on the defense team. That's going to give your chances of success and potentially speed of success a big increase. That's not even to mention things like defense down, disarm, so on and so forth. So yeah, very nice on the passives. They work with his kit extremely well. Like I said, the only one that kind of stands out as the one that is not necessarily that important to upgrade and can be seen as low priority is critical boost, where you get the crit damage multiplier, but that is going to be nice and improve his damage. And if he's in a Philip Blake or Maggie team, you might as well just go for as much damage as possible. So yeah, big thumbs up, works well with his kit. I like these passives a lot on the Wanderer. Now the last part of the main kit of the Wanderer is disarming. This fighter will never trigger a special or epic weapon effect that activates when an enemy fighter is defending. This means he'll never proc weapons in the 3rd or 4th slot, but with the second part, he can disable the 3rd slot. When this fighter performs a critical attack on a human, that target will be disarmed for 2 turns. Disarmed fighters lose any slot 3 special effects granted by their weapon. This does not disarm 4th slots though, it is worth noting. So for instance, if a tough character has an impair on defense daze when taking critical damage weapon, he can disarm the impair on defense for the rest of his team. But if you crit that enemy, you can still get dazed because of that 4th slot. That's just the thing that's worth noting. The only issue that disarmed characters can have are support characters on defense team which have a chance to stop his weapon from proccing. So if you have a weapon that has the potential, for instance, to control an enemy, like confuse an enemy when hitting a crit, that potentially could get blocked by a support character. But any weapon things are not going to be a problem. The same can be said for any passive stuns or controls in any way, but any weapon proc potential is not going to be an issue at all. It's nice for the Wanderer, but it's very nice for setting it up for his team, and he can do that very well with that Adrenaline Rush hitting a lot of enemies. Now lastly, the Wanderer does not have an attached weapon, but there are some nice weapons out there that can do AP down, that can confuse on attack, and there will no doubt be some more weapons that come out that potentially do other sorts of control on attack, because they'd work so well in the Wanderer's hands, it just makes sense. So I do think there's going to be some decent weapons coming out. But like I said, there have been some pretty good ones in the past. I think it was Axel's pistol, where if you hit a critical attack, you can confuse the enemy. So that can work pretty nicely in his hands for sure. There is also a ransack weapon now that's worth noting. That is alert, where you could potentially ransack an entire Telltale team with him on the attack team, because he'll attack everybody with his Adrenaline Rush, and those 2-turn halos could potentially disappear. Of course, if they've got more than 2 effects, then it's going to run into a little bit of issues, but it's just worth noting that could be a really nice weapon. So that is a little look at They Who Wander, who I will eternally call the Wanderer, no matter what. I think he is a really, really nice support character. That weapon's going to be the cherry on top. That ransack weapon, just thinking about it, seems like a really good pick. You have to choose what else goes in those slots though, but I think it's pretty much just damage amplification. But I think you've got an AP drain in the armory, but it might not be worth it. Definitely a nice character, lots of support potential. Teaming up with the Lone Wolves looks like a really good team up. Synergy is going to be there, but also he could just fit into a team with no Lone Wolves. Their Adrenaline Rush just won't be as useful. But yeah, big thumbs up from me. I look forward to see more Lone Wolves to come out. It looks like a 4-man Lone Wolves minimum for the Wanderer if you want to get the best out of that Adrenaline Rush to get all the disarming potential, and Laura on that attack team seems like a pretty good pick. But like I said, we'll have to wait and see. I want to thank you very much for tuning into my video. Best of luck if you enter the giveaway. Leave your thoughts in those comments down below. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.